Hey everybody, Patrick Val here with Living That Outdoor Dream. Doing a little follow-up to some of the things we were doing on Lake Lavon. I know in the video that I said we'd be showing you some of the products we were testing and using, and so I wanted to give you all a little bit of information about some of that, a little bit more detail, and what we found as of our results from 2 days of fishing pretty hard. We're talking 10-hour days. I mean, going at it. Caught lots of fish. I know they're not all on the video. There was quite a bit of footage that we just couldn't fit. You got 22 minutes. One of the things that we're trying to do here with our program is to educate. I mean, you can go to a lot of shows and see them just catching tons of fish, and that's fantastic, you know. And I mean, we'll have some of those shows as well. But my whole point with what we're doing with Living That Outdoor Dream is to teach people how to go out, try new techniques, things that we've found that works great and works well in different parts of the country, and for our viewers to be able to take those techniques out and use them for themselves and experience immediate results, or get them a little bit closer to the fine-tuning that they need to do to get it to where it needs to be, but just to help you get on fish a little bit easier. I'm 50 years old now. I've been doing this a long time, and you know, you pick up things along the way and you never quit learning. You know, I'm still learning new techniques all the time. It's absolutely amazing. A lot of you guys have been doing this a long time. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, one day they're there, one day they're not. You just never know. So this is a little follow-up to what we were doing. Now, we talked about a slip bobber rig, and what that begins with, you'll have to pardon my backdrop. I'm in the middle of remodeling. This is my family room. It'll be looking a little different next time we're here. But anyway, the first thing you do is you start with the slip bobber rig that we're using. I like to use a slip bobber. As you can see, it has a hole in both ends. And we start that process by buying these bobber knots, or bobber stops, is what a lot of people call them. It's basically just some thread on a straw. You buy them pre-packaged. You know, they're kind of, I don't tie my own because it just doesn't make any sense. No more expensive than they are. And they last for quite a while. But basically you just slide that straw on your line, right? And once you've slid it off your line, and it's on there, you slide the straw off, and you just pull that down until it cinches on the line, real tight, okay? And you just take your fingernail clippers or needle nose pliers and just snip those ends off. So you're left with just that part of the bobber stop right there. And what that allows to do is you can then take this and slide it up and down your line to adjust the depth. I mean, you can fish 20, 30 foot deep with a bobber. True story. And be able to reel this all the way up inside of your reel. And it's going to be in the same spot when you let it back out. So, I mean, it's a great way. I use them a lot even when I'm jigging. Because I can set the depth of where I'm catching the fish at. So, like, I jig with a lot of anywhere from a 10 foot to a 12 foot rod when I'm vertical jigging, because I like to stay away from my structure, stay back off of it, whatever I'm fishing, whether it be a bridge pier or dock or whatever. I like to keep my distance off. I don't like my trolling motor backwashing up into what I'm fishing. So I'll use these a lot of times. I'll take my 12 foot rod, okay, say the fish are holding 10 foot deep. I'll pull my jig up to the top. I'll slide this all the way down to my reel, and I know when that's touching the water, I know the depth of my jig without trying to guess. So it serves two purposes for me. Works as on my as a bobber stop for my slide rig, and it also works for a depth marker. But what this allows to do is then that bobber can then slide up and down the line, and then once it hits this bobber stop, see, it just stops. And there you go. It leaves your jig, your minnow, or whatever you're fishing at the depth you want it to be. Now, what we're using over there, as you've seen, it was primarily black and chartreuse. There's a lot of different black and chartreuse heads out there on the market. These are some basic Bass Pro brand 16th ounce jig heads. Nothing super fancy. It's just a painted head, as you can see. One thing about these, don't expect a super durable finish, especially if you're fishing a lot around rocks or around bridges. The powder coat or the paint they use on this jig head, it's not that durable. So it's going to chip, it's going to crack. But they work great. They really do. They're not that horribly expensive. Another jig head that I've gone to recently has the living eyes. And when I say living eyes, I mean they have a living eye. Now these were made for me by a guy out of Texas. Was on the south side of Texas. I can't really say his name because he's not producing them yet. But it's a fantastic jig. As you can see, it's got the living eyes on it. And his technique for putting the paint on this head is so durable that I can't chip it. I haven't chipped it yet. And also, if you take a look at that hook, it provides you a great hook set. The way that shank's bent. But I found that to be a very productive jig with the living eyes. And there's some major manufacturers out there that make them as well. These are some the guy made for me. I just wanted to show them off. Wish he'd go full production because I really like his jig head. Company also that I use is Bonehead Baits. They've got some great jig heads, got the living eyes. But we're tying these anywhere from 16 inches to 18 inches apart on the line. And we were sliding our bobber stop up to where our bottom jig was hanging at about 3 feet. What we done is, see, that means our bottom jig was around 3 feet and our top jig was hanging, somewhere around 1.5 foot to 2 foot deep, which put the jig right in the middle of that tire. And a lot of our fish came on that top jig. Remember, they were in them tires spawning. So we did catch quite a few on the top jig. Now let's talk about some of the tails. First, I'm going to show you what didn't work. Bonehead Slim Sticks. Black and chartreuse color. 3-inch Slim Sticks. Not good. Crappie magnet. Got the slab magnets. It's kind of got the spiked tail on them. Didn't work. Crappie magnets. Got a little bit different tail. It's kind of like a rib tip. Didn't work. Now then, getting into what did work. Charlie Brewer sliders. This is a crappie grub. And the Starlight chartreuse. It's like a two-tone body with a chartreuse tail. And it also has some glitter in it. Now I also found this bait to be very productive on Shelbyville Lake in Illinois recently in a tournament as well. Caught a lot of nice crappie slow trolling this bait. Even more than I did with just plain minnows on my rigs. So I'm really liking that slider color right now. But again, that's a Starlight crappie with the chartreuse tail. Other things that work. Crappie Max baits. Black chartreuse tubes. Now this has a red glitter in the tail. This is primarily what J-Dog was fishing with. These are like a jumbo, man. These are a big tail. It's a 2 1/4 inch black chartreuse red flake. That was a really good bait for Jay. He was using that one, and then he was also using just plain blackened chartreuse in the 2 1/4, the jumbo. I call it jumbo. Looks like that there. That's got like a black metal fleck in it. That was doing really good for him. Yeah, black chartreuse sparkle. Crappie Max. Then also another bait that he was using that he had success with was just a Crappie Max black and chartreuse tube. If you notice about the Crappie Max tail, super high biz on the chartreuse. I mean, it's bright. Sometimes I think too much brightness hinders you. All of my success, out of all the baits I've showed you, this is probably the least expensive and produce the most fish, and that's the basic cream mini tail, plain black and chartreuse. You can find it just about anywhere, and it's just a plain 2-inch black tube, chartreuse tail, little Bill Silver fleck in it, hollow body. All these tubes I'm showing you are hollow bodies. Hard body, I've never had any luck with hard body tubes. I like the hollow bodies. They don't last as long, I understand all that, but they work, and when I find something that works, that's what I use. I'm about catching fish. So that's what we found. So taking a 1/16 ounce chartreuse head, tying them 16 to 18 inches apart, top and bottom. Also, something else to keep in mind. If your bobber, you want your bobber to float pretty low in the water. If you're tipping with minnows, and the really active minnows like shiners, like we were using like 2 to 2.5 inch shiners. You get a 2.5 to a 3 inch shiner on there, which I like big shiners because big bait makes for, you got it, big fish. So I like good sized big shiners. So what I found is with the big shiners, a lot of times they'll pull the slick bobbers under. So a lot of times the smaller ones don't pull it around at all. So I like to weight my bobbers down, because a lot of times crappie hits so light, and the bite is just so slight to where, you know, if this is the water level, I've seen crappie take it and just pull it like that. And if you don't notice that bite, you're missing fish. So sometimes when they're not a super active pattern and they're biting kind of slow, you want to weight this down. Take a split shot and put it between your top bait and your bottom bait about halfway. And not a lot of split shots, just one split shot. Just give that bobber a little bit more weight, right? So it doesn't have as much buoyancy. It's a lot easier for the fish to pull under, a lot easier for you to detect the bite. And also it gives the jigs great action, especially that bottom jig, because it kind of snaps it back when you're popping that bobber, wiggling it a little bit. That's basically how we did it on Lavon. I wanted to show you that. Got some great shows coming up. Got a catfish / striper trip in Kentucky. Going to be a lot of fun. My old buddy Pat Stone went over there with his son last year. Went out with this guide, and he's caught some hog stripers and big old cats, big old blues, man. Also got a catfish show we got booked in October in northeastern Oklahoma with a guy that drives a semi for Hobby Lobby. But this guy, he rod and reels. I mean, he does some jug line and trot lining too, but his big thing is going after 60, 70 pounds rod and reel. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. And then when we're still catching a ton of crappie. Me and my tournament partner Pat Stone, we're looking at fishing an ACT event American Crappie Trail. Then we got some Indiana Slab Masters, which is a local tournament association here in the state of Indiana. We're going to be doing some fishing. And then, of course, we got the Crappie USA Classic. We're going to be fishing in Kentucky Lake. And the Indiana Slab Masters Classic, which we're going to be fishing here in Indiana. So, and that all comes in right at the beginning of October, which is in Indiana, deer season. But things don't really fire up here in deer season till the latter part of October, so we got plenty of time to fish and do some deer hunting along the way, because we're going to be doing a lot of deer hunting this year and shooting a lot of footage while we're doing it. So you guys stay tuned. Hey, thanks for our recent spike in views and subscribers. Just trying to pass along a little bit of knowledge. You know, if you like it, that's great. If you don't like it, that's great as well. My goal is to help as many people as I can to catch more fish with what little bit I know, because I'm still learning. So until next time, peace out. Thanks for subscribing and watching Living That Outdoor Dream.